We were able to identify a 40-foot container of seafood, commercially packed, anchovies, in cans. That was a seizure of 2,300 pounds of cocaine. And the arrest of a very important transporter who had a contract with the cartel to move thousands and thousands of kilos a year. Of course, Pablo Escobar was the chief executive officer. There were other individuals who were on what I would consider to be the board of the cartel. My name is Robert Mazer. I'm a former government agent who spent 5 years undercover with the two biggest cartels in Colombia. This is how crime works. There are a lot of different moving parts to these undercover operations. It's pretty easy for any one of us on the team to do something that might potentially endanger somebody else on the team. I'm doing this interview in silhouette because two agencies and an intelligence agency informed me that the Medellin Cartel issued a contract on my life. I worked long-term undercover in Operation Sea Chase from 1986 to 1988, infiltrating the Medellin Cartel as one of their money launderers. I built the persona of Robert Musella. I had informants who were within organized crime, who gave me credibility, and I belonged to all the social clubs that you either had to be a politician, a gangster, or both to be a member. I knew that my background would be challenged. I had a fully verifiable resume that covered everything from my first job to 10 years later. I had 3 bank references, 3 business references. Once I started laundering money for the cartels, I made a condition to them. I said, "You're gonna get me caught. You have to play by my rules. I have a family here that I work for." I didn't mean a blood family. I meant an organized crime family. If I do anything that jeopardizes their money, I'm gonna get killed. So, here's the way it works. A portion of your money has to be left with me in an investment. It can be in CDs, certificates of deposit, or you can have me manage your money to make it appear to be what was used to finance assets. One person gave me cash and then had me issue a loan out of my mortgage company that was used to build a condominium complex in downtown LA. We needed to get inside the money launderers so that we could follow the money. So yes, we fully expected to prosecute the intermediaries, the bankers, dirty lawyers, the couriers, with the beneficial owners, and to be able to prosecute them for not just money laundering, but for drug trafficking. A classic example of that is my meeting a person by the name of Roberto Alcaeno, a major transporter of cocaine in the United States, Spain, and Italy. He and I got along extraordinarily well. If he hadn't been a drug trafficker, we'd probably been friends. In his mind, I think we were. And not only did I wind up talking with him and working with him with respect to the laundering of his drug money, but also of Fabio Ochoa's money and other people with whom he was working. He explained to me that they had a lab in Bolivia that was producing thousands of kilograms of cocaine a month. We were able to identify a 40-foot container of seafood, commercially packed, anchovies, in cans, that he'd sent from Buenos Aires to Camden, New Jersey, where it was to be trucked to Chelsea in Lower Manhattan, put into a warehouse. Agents were able to be there when he showed up in Chelsea, and he got arrested. That was a seizure of 2,300 pounds of cocaine. And the arrest of a very important transporter who had a contract with the cartel to move thousands and thousands of kilos a year. I met other people like him, and we had similar success with them. Of course, Pablo Escobar was the chief executive officer. There were other individuals who were on what I would consider to be the board of the cartel, the Ochoa family, Rodriguez Gacha, Carlos Lader. There were other people on the high side with Fabio, and he would get 5,000 kilos for US and 2,000 for Europe. And he had the responsibility of getting that there. He also had a relationship where if they had dope in the United States, he would distribute it for them at a cost of 20% of the shipment. So let's say there was 1,000 kilos, he would get 200 of the kilos. They would get the money from the rest. Another functionary was Pablo Escobar's lead consigliere, a lawyer, a guy named Santiago Uribe. He wrote the paper that was used as the basis for creating the Colombian law that Pablo wanted so bad, which was making extradition to the United States illegal. And so that's why the cartel leaders were called extraditables. And Santiago Uribe based his legal theory on a Colombian law saying that this was an invasion of the sovereignty of Colombia, and that if there was an offense that had occurred, it should be prosecuted in Colombia. The only problem was 80% of the Senate, by some estimates, were in Pablo's pocket. They would get away without local law enforcement involvement in Colombia because they control, at times, local law enforcement. You basically have to have two brains operating at the same time. And as I'm there, acting and thinking, like Musella, there's a small voice in my head that's coaching me about where I need to take the conversation in order to make it meaningful and evidentiary. Beyond that, I wouldn't let my mazer brain get involved at all, because I had to be natural. I had a home, actually, in Key Biscayne that was wired. I had a home about 25 miles outside of Tampa. That was wired for video, audio. I had a briefcase recorder. I had several, and one of which malfunctioned, which created quite a potential problem. I had been suspected by Moncada to be a DEA agent, and to talk my way out of that, I asked for a meeting with one of Moncada's trusted people, who I got along with well. So I'm in the room with this guy, and he says, well, where is the bank records? You were supposed to bring some stuff from Switzerland. And I said, oh, it's in my briefcase, it's outside. I went and got it, brought it in, threw it on the bed. I opened it up, the Velcro let loose, the recorder fell into the briefcase with a nest of wires, and he was on the other side. And I'm trying to act as normal as I can as I'm reaching around and putting the Velcro back together again, and he's getting impatient for the records, and he gets up and comes around just as I finished putting it back in. And I'm not sure what would have happened if he'd have seen the recorder. It's that old theory of a dog sensing that you're afraid. You just can't let it out there. And I got lucky. I dealt with attorneys in Panama who formed corporations or dealt with people who ran financial service corporations. They formed tens of thousands of corporations for people all over the world. I dealt with lawyers in Switzerland who formed corporations to hide the source of our funds. I dealt with dirty bankers. All of these people are intermediaries. Some money doesn't go to a person like me for the laundering process. Some money is smuggled out of the United States down to Colombia. Oftentimes, especially if you're physically in Medellin, a lot of the traffickers would, at least their local money, would be kept literally in a hole that would be dug in the basement of a house. It's called a coleta. And my two main clients, Gerodo Moncada and Fernando Galeano, they were the two principal advisors to Pablo Escobar. They ran his smuggling routes. They decided, apparently, to divert some of the drug profits and not pay the war tax that they had to pay to Pablo. But he found out that there was this coleta with $22 million in it. And after that money was found, Escobar summoned them to what's called the Cathedral, which was his self-made jail. He had them tortured for 2 days. Then their family members and their associates that could be found were brought and killed, and Pablo began the internal cleansing. Those who escaped became part of Los Pepes, the vigilante group that helped to hunt him down. I think I was numbed by my addiction for information. I didn't want to face the fact that the risks were at such a level that I should get off this roller coaster. And I didn't want to get off the roller coaster because information was my heroin.